Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. Jake Tapper, or I could call him, as President Trump lovingly calls him, Fake Tapper. He has had very much a change of heart. We've seen this happen before. We've seen it happen with Chris Cuomo. We've seen it happen with various people who are part of the mainstream. The pressure gets a little too much, and then they end up cracking a little bit. They end up telling the truth a little bit. And Jake decided that he was going to make a book about Joe Biden's decline. Now, we all know about this decline. We don't really need a book written about it. We all watched it happen live. Talking about corn pop and kids rubbing his leg hair and blah, blah, blah. All of the wild things. Uncle was eaten by cannibals. Like what? Wandering off in front of camera while he, we've all seen it. But Jake wanted to make a book about it. And in promoting his book, he has to do a little press run. And in that press run, he meets up with Megyn Kelly. And Megyn Kelly doesn't really care for Jake that much. So she drags him through the mud. He's admitting that he was wrong. And Megyn Kelly's like, oh, are you down? Or are you? She's still kicking him while he's down. I love to see it. Couldn't happen to a worse guy. So after that, I'm going to play a clip of Barry Weiss and Jake talking a little bit. See, he goes from, a right-leaning podcast to a left-leaning podcast. And believe me, Barry Weiss is left-leaning, despite what she might say. And then we go on to show a part of Jake where he kind of realizes that he doesn't like the side that he's been on. And he kind of says something wild about the Democrats. Wait till you hear that. Jake Tapper dropping an F-bomb. And then we're going to hear Donald Trump addressing something which is pretty wild in regards to Biden's decline, which is that some aides of Biden's are going to have to testify because they're trying to figure out who was working the Autopen and who was actually running the White House, which may result in Jill Biden having to testify as well. Let's start with the Joe Rogan, and then we'll work into the other stuff.
Accounts, and then you notice how often they post and how much they post, and you're like, oh my god,
it's a job.
Yeah,
it's a job.
Or it's like this is like an actual bot that has so much public sway and opinion that it's getting people to the left or the right.
Both things are true.
Mm-hmm.
So I know people who developed a social media following, and then they were contacted to make political posts. And they can make $50,000 for a post.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
And here's the thing. It's legal.
So I'm right now that's a goal to sell out.
I mean, if you're willing to sell out, someone's willing to pay.
Yeah.
And if everybody keeps their mouth shut and everybody just does it, then you got a Congress type situation, But like when Kamala was running for president and we never figured out whether it's true, but there was all this talk of these various celebrities that were paid large amounts of money to endorse her publicly. Remember that?
Yes.
Like
Yeah, absolutely.
It was printed everywhere that Beyonce got $11 million. We looked it up, right, Jamie? We couldn't find it. We couldn't find proof. No proof. It would have to be like on the top. But here's the crazy thing about it is, if you spend $1.5 billion in 4 months, if I was a corrupt person, you know what I would do? I would make this the cornerstone of society's task is to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't get arrested or doesn't get elected rather, and that we need to throw as much money at Kamala Harris as possible, and then be super irresponsible with that money where it just kind of vanishes, just goes off into a bunch of different NGOs. It's like a crazy scam.
Right.
Like any presidential candidate that's running like that, that's a crazy scam. You get billions of dollars or $1.5 billion. You blow it in 4 months. All these people get paid.
I thought it was a gangster move. The official campaign website for Kamala, there was no platform, no plan on what you wanted to do. It was just money, like buttons to donate money.
They probably did like a whole like group, like focus group,
right,
to try to find out what's the best way. Should we put up her? No,
just buttons. Just
people
buttons
are ready to just donate.
Yeah, it was very clear that they didn't give a when like they released the official platform and still had Biden's name on a lot of the things. It's like you couldn't even be bothered to write Kamala.
Yeah,
you just keep the same thing and just write Kamala instead.
Wild. Wild. And then when she goes on The View and she said I wouldn't have done anything differently than Biden did, it's just
right. And you know, just a lot of the arguments were so like crazy, like, oh, you know, vote for Kamala to stop fascism, but like we just installed you.
right.
You know?
Did you see Jake Tapper on Megyn Kelly's show?
No.
Bro, Jake Tapper, very nice guy, by the way. But Jake Tapper's got a book out about how the media hid Biden's decline.
Oh, that's yeah.
Or how the government hid it, or how they were deceived. Like, look, the media hid it. It's like trying to say that didn't happen. They're trying to say that like you're a CNN anchor. Like, this is kind of insane. But Megyn Kelly's just throwing it in his face. Like all the different clues that everybody saw, but you,
Dude, everyone. I mean, that wasn't
a mystery.
That was a joke between regular people that Biden was basically dead.
Bro, I said it when he was running. I was like, you'd be relying on his cabinet. Like, you know that this is the end. You know that guy's at the end. When he would close his eyes before he would talk.
Be like, ooh, are they going to open again or is this
Like,
it?
oh, boy. And there's another one, Mitch McConnell. He can't get out either. He literally freezes up like Windows 95. He can't leave. He can't leave. He can't leave.
No, he
They'll
can't.
throw him right into the bus. You gotta stay active. Stay active, like vampires. You can't go out into the light.
Dude, yeah, the fact that Pelosi and him and
Pelosi's older than all of them.
That's
She's older
crazy.
than Biden. She's older than Trump.
and just kicking. No plans on stopping.
Why would I stop now?
No, no reason to.
Did you ever see the one where they confronted her about Congress people being able to insider trade?
No.
You never saw that?
No.
It's wild because she has no answer for it.
No.
It's so bad. Like, it's so, and she like pushes, well, this is over here now. Pushes the mic away and leaves.
Dude, I love shit like that. You ever seen the video of that mega pastor Kenneth Copeland?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When he points, don't you? I never said that. Don't you say that I did.
When they ask him why you bought the jet,
Bro. Yeah. Tyler made it so easy.
Oh, yeah, it was Tyler Perry's jet.
He gave me such a deal.
To me, that video is like, that's what a demon looks like.
That's what a demon looks
That's
like.
like a real deal demon.
Yes.
These mega
like he was
pastors are
possessed. I mean,
that pastor that they're talking about truly looks like a demon. Truly looks like a demon, man. That dude, when he, oh man, I'm not even going to get into it. But I will say this, when it comes to these politicians, what I'm starting to realize is why they go into it like so old and they don't stop is because they can't stop. They are at a point where they cannot stop. There's no stopping. There's no, because the second that you stop, first off, you don't have access to everything that you'd have access to. And second of all, there might be somebody who just goes, well, you're not protected anymore. You're not pulling strings. You're not a part of the whole thing, the whole ecosystem we have going on, this whole swamp bubbling. You're not a part of it anymore. So now we can go after you. Now we know that you've made this much money. Now it's even easier. Before, like with Pelosi, it's like, yeah, she has $200 million, but as a junior congressman or even AOC, try and go after her about it. Try it. See what happens to you. She's still so hooked up and she's still moving things around so much that if you try anything, she's just going to be like, oh, that's really funny. Okay, just wait until you're at home and it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'm very good friends with Hillary. I've always been good friends with Hillary. We'll see what happens to you. Okay, that's just the way it goes. You know, that's why you see every time something happens, they always dig up Hillary real quick, and she's just like, well, I think there needs to be re-education. And you're like, what? Why is she even on the TV right now? It's because they can't stop. They're constantly being pulled up. Same with people in Hollywood. You see people who are 80 and they're still doing their thing. It's like we are tricked to believe that they're in it for the love of everything, but I don't think so. But like Joe Rogan said, Megyn Kelly was going at Jake Tapper. Then we're going to jump over. Then I have to make sure. Oh, did I lose it? I'll have to find Dave. I'll just repeat it. I know what Dave Smith said, but he had a great take on this whole thing. Let's go.
Knowing what I know now, obviously, I feel tremendous humility about my coverage, that Laura Trump interview, for example, et cetera.
We'll
She saw something that I did not see at the time, 100%. And I own that. I did ask Joe Biden to be transparent about his health records in an interview in 2020. I did ask him about the fact that voters
But then he wasn't.
thought that he... He was not transparent at all. No.
He promised you that he would be transparent about his health records, and then he wasn't. And when you sat with him again,
at all.
including 1 month after the Jackie Walorski thing, you didn't ask him about it. You didn't follow up on the fact that he was falling up the stairs, that he was losing his train of thought regularly, that he was slurring, that he was incomprehensible, that he was getting lost on the White House lawn. You sat right across from him and you asked none of that, notwithstanding the fact that he had promised you he would be fully transparent about his health issues.
That's true, but I did ask him about his age and the fact that the American people had concluded that even though he said whenever anybody brought up the subject of his age, watch me. And I said,
yes,
they're watching you and they are concerned that you were too old for this job.
But you know as well as I do that there's a way of, you can say, hey, there's this poll on your age, or you could say, you just forgot that Jackie Walorski was dead. You asked where she was moments after watching a videotape tribute to her. You lowered the flags at the White House after she died. This happened 13 days before you sat with him. There is a way of pressing a man like that on the actual infirmities.
The way that she knows, like, you sat with him 1 month and 3 days ago and 4 minutes after that, and then this was 13 days before you sat with him again. Like, why does she know all this? She's like a white Candace Owens. Holy.
To bring it home to him and to the audience, and you didn't do it.
That's correct. I didn't. And like I said, I feel humility about my coverage. I mean, it's not like I was asking him his favorite movie or his favorite color. We were talking about Putin. We were talking about other issues of national importance. But yeah, I mean, of course, I've said I look back at my coverage with humility, and I wish I did cover the issues of age and acuity, but I wish I had covered them much more. And I wish, I mean, of course, it's May 2025. Do I wish that in that 10, 15-minute interview I had with Biden in October 2022, that this had been the only subject? Because I had then
well, it wasn't
what I know
just that,
now.
though, Jake. It wasn't just that. I mean, you sat with him a couple of times in the course of his presidency, and these issues were not pressed. Well, there was at least that time, and then there was the time at the the and but separate and apart from that, you covered the Biden's presidency. No. Let me just finish my point. You covered the Biden presidency
with him during his. I had one interview with him
and it was
during
13 days after the Jackie Walorski thing. But you covered the Biden presidency aggressively throughout the 4 years, and you didn't cover mental acuity hardly at all. I mean, time and time again, when issues came up, you seemed to be running cover for the president. You didn't seem interested.
That's true.
Well, I mean, we'll start with the Laura Trump issue that you referred. Here it is. This happened in 2020.
Joe Biden, as we all know, has worked to overcome a stutter. How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
you are
to
no
watch somebody on stage search for
that's so
questions.
amazing.
You're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you
stuttering.
were mocking his stutter.
Yeah,
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
And it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel
Laura
sorry
Trump.
for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure it was from a place of concern. We all believe that. Laura Trump, thank you so much.
Do you want to apologize to Laura Trump now?
I've already apologized to her. I called her months ago.
And what did she say?
I mean, I don't want to disclose the contents of a private conversation, but I thought the conversation went well. And she has said this publicly, so I feel fine of sharing it. She said that she would never mock anybody's stutter. But I mean, after we did the research for this book, and I realized how bad his acuity issues were, I called Laura Trump and I said, you were right.
The research for the book, they went on X and just wrote Biden. That's all they did. They just wrote Biden. And there was just one of those compilations of him just being like, and this is my Vice President Trump, presenting presenting Zelensky, being like, President Putin's here, ladies and gentlemen. My uncle got eaten by cannibals, and me and Elon Musk, we went down to the jungles of Vietnam. This was way back in the day. We flew on one of his rocket ships, and Mike Tyson was there, and I didn't like Mike because he was black, and he didn't like me either. But we came together as Americans that day, and we crawling through the mud, and Mike got hurt, and he's screaming, I need some help. And I run over to Mike, and he got bit by a snake right on his backside, and I was sucking the venom out. I was sucking it out. That's all you got to do. You just type that on X. You'll see it. Go ahead and look for it. It's there.
She was totally right. That's the thing, because when I watched that clip, and I'm giving voice to what a lot of people watching the show are feeling, Jake, I feel angry because she was right. And not only did you not allow her to make her comments, but you seemed to try to humiliate her. You had a hostility toward the position, but she was totally right. And then you lectured her on how she was in no position to diagnose cognitive decline, which you guys do at length, including on page 4 of your book. You describe at length his cognitive decline, which is all she tried to do with you. But you had such a visceral reaction to her. And my feeling is that's because you didn't want to hear it.
No, I'm happy to talk about this. I didn't come here thinking that you weren't going to ask me about this. So I'm happy to talk to you about it.
No, I know.
The first time
She's like, yeah, we're talking about it. This is what I've been talking about for the past 6 minutes, actually. Yeah. So we are talking about it currently. That's so amazing. And I think at the end of the day, CNN, all these people, they're getting paid to be this way. That's what it is. That's the job. You can't be on CNN and be like, let me hear out this person with the last name Trump. You can't do that while Joe Biden's running. You can't do that. We all know how CNN works. They're not doing that. They're going to run cover. They're going to, he wanders off. They're like, actually, he was actually looking at something. There was something over there that he was looking at. I don't know. Anybody who says anything contrary is obviously a white supremacist. That's what they do. That's their job. That's the makeup of the job. It's like if we have a narrative and if anyone pushes against it, we call them racist. If they're black, we call them sexist. If they're this, we call them that. Like they have their whole thing laid out. So why he was doing this? He was getting paid. Come on. At the end of the day, if you really wanted to sum it up, it's because the guy's getting paid. He's getting paid to be this way. Anderson Cooper ain't getting paid millions of dollars because he's an incredible journalist. Rachel Maddow isn't getting paid $100 million because she's just this forefront journalist who just does some hard-nosed research every day. It's because she's willing, like Hassan said in the Joe Rogan clip, if you're willing to sell out, there's someone who's willing to pay. That's just what it is. That's why when you see people sell out, what they say doesn't make sense anymore. It seems so incongruent. That's why when people see Jordan Peterson saying the stuff he says now, they're like, I don't understand what's going on anymore. Well, you don't get to see the bank accounts. You get to see the bank accounts, you'd understand, It's like you don't understand why someone would do a prank show, right? Until you figure out the kids who do prank shows get paid $90,000 a month. And then you're like, oh, how do I start a prank show? Obviously. Anyway, let's get into the next one.
But would you say that looking back at the body of your work over the past, during the Biden White House, that you could have brought a level of skepticism, scrutiny, and curiosity to
I think
this story?
I mean, of course, I don't think there are very few members of the legacy media that I don't think could say that. But I will say that in October 2020, I interviewed Joe Biden and I asked if he would take a pledge to be transparent about his health. And in October 2022, the only time I had an interview with him during his presidency, I pointed out that the American people think he's too old. Whenever he's asked about that, he says, watch me. They're watching him. They still think that. I had skeptical interviews with Karine Jean-Pierre in 2023. And after the Her Report, I had Kate Bedingfield come on the show. And I was not a Robert Herr basher. I completely thought that he was accurate, and I didn't understand what I was seeing from the White House or from other journalists that didn't see what we were all seeing. So I think that there is reporting that I'm proud of, that is also part of the record. But on the whole, I wish these 200 sources had talked to us 2 years ago. And I wish I'd known what I know now. I would not say I was incurious. I would say that I was one of the many people who was asking about this and was lied to over and over and over. And it wasn't just, you have to remember, the Biden people were not only lying to the press, and they were not only lying to the public. They were lying to donors. They were lying to their cabinet secretaries. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress. A cover-up, and like I said, this was almost a successful one, even though we all saw him aging. We didn't know he was, he had these moments of non-functioning. Suggests that there's a lot of people in on something, and whether they were doing it because they believed it or they had been told it, I'd still, at the end of the day, for all the criticism of the media that I'm not pushing back on, that I agree with, at the end of the day, the Democrats did this. At the end of the day,
I didn't do this. It wasn't me, okay? I had nothing to do with this. It's almost like as Trump starts to scale these investigations into who was running the Autopen and who knew about Biden's decline and was still allowing him, that all of a sudden everybody's scattering. You notice that? People are scattering left and right. Very interesting. Dave Smith actually said it here. He said, in regards to the clip you just heard, he said, the same thing happened to me. Chris Christie's campaign told me over and over again that he was skinny. I asked, but I was lied to over and over again. So I had to report that he was thin and demonize those who called him fat. What else could I have done? Oh, man. Solid point. Solid point. Very solid point. I mean, perfect analogy, because as fat as Chris Christie is as clear as day as he's fat, is as clear as day that Biden was having mental decline. As clear as day. Everybody could see it. Everybody who wasn't. It's funny how everyone who wasn't getting paid millions of dollars could see it. It's weird. It's like you got to a certain tax bracket when you were working in the media, and then you just couldn't see it anymore. It's weird. Like you had Shallow Hal. Like Biden would just walk up to you and be like, what's your name? There's a black lady follow me around. She says she's the vice president. Please tell me there's not a half black, half Indian vice president. Oh God. And when he does that, all you see is somebody come up to you and go, hey, how you doing? The name's Joey Biden. Nice to meet you. I was just doing a backflip, and I'd wonder if you want to join me in a 5K jog. Let's get going. Like, that's all you, like, what's going on? You got Neuralink or something? You caught in the Matrix? But we see here, slowly, Jake is starting to change.
I went on a left-leaning podcast that shall remain nameless, and we were talking about my kids, because I think they were both people without kids. And they asked me about my son, and I said he was, he's a football player, and he wants to be a policeman. And their joke was about my 15-year-old son, oh, how does he feel about minorities? Like the idea that he wants to be a policeman, therefore he's racist, my son. And that was the big laugh, and then I got dragged in the comments and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, this is why you are losing elections.
100%.
Like my football playing son, who has no political views. He's 15. He thinks about World War II and gaming and playing linebacker. That's his world.
There's something else he thinks about a whole lot, but let's not get into it right now. We've all been 15. There's something else he thinks about way more than all those things. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. We all know what it's like.
You're deciding he's a racist because he wants to be a cop. And why does he want to be a cop? He wants to be a cop because he wants to help people, and he thinks that's the best way he can help people. And that's how the Democratic Party talks to men, not just white men, but men. And, I get the idea that they thought Tim Walz, what's the term he used? Code switch or something? He thought that he could translate the Democratic Party values because he hunts and fishes and owns a gun and was in the army and drinks a beer. At least there was an attempt. But I find it just insane.
Look at him. He's getting there. He's getting there. There you go. You're waking up a little bit. It's sad that it took them attacking your son a little bit for you to really clue in to how they operate. But at the same time, again, very disingenuous. I mean, he knows how they operate. He was one of the people. And that's the funny thing. You know, as I'm saying this, I'm reminded he was one of the people. They're saying that about his son. And he's like that's the joke. What, are you kidding me? This guy is on record calling President Trump, that you see on the screen here, a Nazi and a white supremacist multiple times, making connections that aren't even there, trying to connect them to one of the worst people of our time that we can look back on. And now they're doing it to your son. And now you're like, oh, this is why you're losing elections. You are part of the reason they're losing. Like, he is a big part of why they were losing elections, the way that he would operate. Him and Lemon and Cuomo and Cooper and Collins, all of them, man. Anyway, this is where Trump actually addresses what's going on. Let's make sure it's not on double speed. Of course it is sitting on double speed. This is where Trump addresses the potential of Jill Biden having to take the stand.
Trump, I got one for President Trump. So President Trump, Biden aides who used to work here are in talks with Republicans in Congress to go and testify about what they did or didn't do to possibly conceal President Biden's decline. Do you think that Dr. Jill Biden should also have to come in and testify about what she did or didn't do?
Well, I hate the concept of it. It's the wife of a man who was going through a lot of problems, and everybody that dealt with him understood that. And I guess it came out during the debate loud and clear. That was the biggest signal of all. They have to do what's right. The country was there was a lot of dishonesty in the election, as you know, 2020. That's been now caught. People understand it. It was a rigged election. And when you go further out, when you see the Autopen, I mean, I think the Autopen is going to become one of the great scandals of all time, because you have somebody operating it or a number of people operating. Because I knew Joe Biden. Joe Biden wasn't in favor of opening up borders, letting 21 million people into this from prisons and mental institutions and gang members. He wasn't into that at all. And you know, who signed these orders, proclamations, and all of the different things that he signed that set our country so far back, that was so bad for our country?
With the Autopen, how would it work? Like, we're in the Oval Office right now. If there was a group of rogue staffers that worked for you who wanted to advance a bill or an executive order without your knowledge, how could they do it? How do they go
Well, it's very
behind
hard,
the
because
president's
I'd
back?
read your newspapers or your media the next day, and I'd say, well, I didn't approve that, and I would find it. I mean, they wouldn't get away with it for long, because I'd say, I never signed that. Who the hell signed that? Autopens, to me, are used to sign letters to people, because we get, I think they said 20,000 letters a week, and you like to be able, when somebody takes the time to write a letter, it's nice to sort of write back. And Autopens are meant for that. Autopens are not meant to sign major proclamations or tax cuts or borders, anything having to do with the border, which is so important. And if it happened on my watch, I would be able to see it, because the next day or sooner I'd be reading about something that I knew nothing about, and who the hell signed this? So I almost never used the Autopen. In fact, yesterday I was signing about 81, I think it was 81 proclamations and statements to people that I think should be signed by us. I think when you write letters to foreign dignitaries or presidents or prime ministers, you should be signing those letters, not done with Autopens. I understand he signed almost everything with an Autopen. It's a very dangerous thing. It really means you're not president. Whoever operated the Autopen, and we think we know who that is, and it was actually more than one person, but that's not what the presidency is all about. I hardly used to use it.
You know, they're speculating that Elizabeth Warren was one of the people working the Autopen, which I don't even understand how. I haven't looked into that case more. I'm waiting until, you know, these people have to testify. I want to see more of that, because I think it is more in the realm of his direct cabinet. But they are people have been, not people, there's actual sources speculating that she was the one running the Autopen. And I guess from time to time, since there was more than one person. which is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing if that's true. I don't know if that's true. And honestly, it doesn't really make sense to me, but maybe it makes sense to you. Explain in the comments if that actually does make sense to you, how it does, because I would love to understand that more. But there you have it. President Trump having that same sympathy that he had for Hillary Clinton. That's why he didn't want anything to happen to her. He said, it's the wife. It's the wife of a former president. It looks terrible. Can't have her in jail. That would look absolutely terrible. He's kind of taking the same stance here, which shows that he's a real one. He's a real one, man. I know a lot of criticism about him can be had, but the things that he's been saying for years, the way that you see, like, he doesn't change up. Like, you could look and find clips like Hillary Clinton. That's almost 10 years ago where he was like, we can't have that happen. Like you look at what he's saying about tariffs and whatnot. You can look 30 years ago, he was saying that stuff. Like he's stayed very on point to what he's been about, when it comes to somebody actually doing that to him, I could never see that happening to Trump, not even once, because as soon as it did, there would be one post on Twitter. It would just say treason. That would be it. It would have 100,000. It would have 100,000 retweets. It would have millions of comments. It would have multi-millions of views. Treason. That's it. That's all he'd say. Treason. Somebody signed something. Who signed this? That's it. He would just probably post a picture of it. Who signed this? Treason. I want to know who did this. That'd be it. He'd probably just have a press conference exactly the way you see him now. Somebody signed something, and I just went, no questions. Caitlin Collins, shut your handsome mouth, okay? Deucey, zip it, okay? Someone signed something, and it's right here, and it's not me, but it's me who signed it. Do you understand? I'm not like Joe Biden. I want to know who did it. It would be the craziest press conference we've ever seen. He'd for sure do it live. Oh, it would be terrible. Couldn't see that happening to him. But, Jake Tapper talking about Biden's mental decline, making a book about it. Just straight up switching sides. All good. All good. Now his son, he had to switch sides. His son's playing football now. He wants to be a police officer. He's like, I can't keep doing this. He's like, it's either I call my son a white supremacist or I'm going to have to switch up. I don't know. His son snapped him out of it. I'm telling you, man, kids are the best thing for people. They snap you out of things really quick, man. They'll change your life. It's amazing. But anyway, I'm out.